Welcome, everybody. This is our November 2020 Crystal McAuliffe Intermediate School PTO meeting. I'm Vito Labella. I'm your president. We have our entire executive board here. I will let them introduce themselves as we go on to the meeting. I just first wanted to greet everybody, and I wanted to apologize in advance. I'm actually on our District 20 CEC meeting, as well as on the roundtable by Assembly Member Frontis on schools and gifted and talented programs. So I apologize in advance for speaking very quickly and for being a little distracted, but I will leave you in the capable hands of our executive board as soon as I finish up here with a few things. I do want to remind everybody that we are live streaming on YouTube. At the last President's Council meeting, we were Zoom bombed. So a bunch of kids, and they were kids, got in there, started saying some nasty things and typing some bad things in the chat. So we're going to take some precautions here and going forward that we will be able to isolate and identify individuals and remove them if that were to happen. All of our executive board members and Carla are co-hosts, so if they see anybody doing anything inappropriate, any one of us can remove them. Hopefully it's not going to happen, but if it does, we'll take care of it. It's not a big deal. We'll just do what we have to do. In the future, perhaps, members only, our PTO members only will be invited into the Zoom, and the live streaming on YouTube would satisfy the open meetings law, which states that we as a body can have members in the room and they can participate, and everyone else is entitled to observe but not participate. So in my estimation, that would satisfy the open meetings requirement, and it would be a little bit more secure as well. But hopefully that won't be necessary. Our SLT meetings are all on YouTube and our Facebook pages, and I want to thank Mr. Berman and our other administrators, the teachers, and the other SLT members for making such a commitment to transparency and access. I guarantee you, I promise you that that is not very common, okay? You find other SLT meetings on YouTube, and I would be impressed because I haven't really found any. In that vein, we got word from the President's Council meeting that we should change our bylaws to include some remote access items and also voting via a virtual platform, similar to the Chancellor's regs that were promulgated that allowed us to have our elections last month. That's good news, because even after the pandemic, I believe it will allow for greater participation for our families, right? So I think I envision however many of us hanging out at the auditorium. Doesn't that seem like a warm, fuzzy feeling? Like, who thought we would miss hanging out in that auditorium? But I would love to be there right now. And then whoever wants to participate via Zoom will be welcome to do so and be full participants in that process. So that's something that we're going to explore down the road. I am on the Frontis thing, so I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of our executive board. As I said, there is still no word on the SHSAT, the screened middle schools, the screened high schools, gifted and talented programming for incoming kindergartners. I'm sorry. It's frustrating for everybody, especially for our eighth grade families, I understand. Assembly Member William Colton is putting together a petition for District 20 and 21 families, and he asked that we share it. I emailed that out about 5:15. Please share it with interested parties, fill it out. He wants 1,000 signatures, and I know that we could do that in our community and sharing it with our friends and family. So I'm going to ask for questions, and if anybody has any questions in the chat or they want to raise their hand, we're in gallery view, please, before I beat feet and get out of here. Okay, anybody see anything?
No?
Yep.
Oh, they want to get rid of me.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, listen, be well. Thank you very much. Thank you all for taking over.
Thank you, Mr. Labella.
Thank you.
Mr. Berman, would it be okay if we handed it off to Mary Ann and she could deal with the reading of the minutes?
That would be great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. So I'm going to just share my screen for the minutes here. Okay, is everyone able to see the minutes now? Okay, I'm just going to go over them briefly. Really, the last meeting, the bulk of it was the elections, and as you can see, all of the incumbents for the mandatory positions ran without opposition. There were no objections, so they were all re-elected. And the election of non-mandatory officers, Madeline ran unopposed for vice president, and Kim, I don't have my glasses on. So Kim was our incumbent for the vice president of fundraising, and both were elected. We had no nominations for assistant treasurer, vice president of parent involvement, communications secretary, but if at this point anyone is interested in those positions, we welcome you to come forward and reach out to Vito or to Carla and let them know if you're interested. Okay, and then we moved on to the election of the SLT parent members. There were 3 positions open, and we had 3 nominees: Steve Chan, Madeline Lagori-Link, and Hong Kai, and all of them were elected unanimously. There were no objections to the minutes from September. We went through the treasurer's report. Ending balance for September was $59,478.32. And then we briefly went over the proposed budget for this year. The big thing there was that we're going to be using Cheddar Up to get donations. And from what I hear, we've had quite a few donations, but I'm sure Michelle and Kim are going to go over that, and Madeline as well. All right. So we have not had a lot of expenses this year because fortunately, Mr. Berman has some money that he was able to use to buy a lot of things for the school this year. So the school has not had to ask a lot from the PTO. So the last meeting was just like in the middle of October. And at that point, the school was still closed because the school was in the orange zone. I think you all know that we've been in the yellow zone for quite some time. And at this point, I think there is mandatory random COVID-19 testing for all the schools in the yellow zone. And the schools are supposed to get a couple of days advance notice, but if your kids are coming to the building, it's recommended that you consent to random testing for them. So as of the last meeting, there was no new information about middle school admissions, no information about the grading policy, no real information about when you could switch back to blended. And election day was supposed to be remote instruction for all. The last point last time was that there was a Place New York rally on Friday, October 29th. And that was, again, to draw attention to what was going on or not going on with SHSAT. And those were the minutes from the last meeting. Okay, so I hope you were all able to go through the minutes on your own. All right, and at this time, if there are no objections, no suggestions for changes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes. Can I get a second for that?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So any objections at all? No objections in the chat? If you want, you can unmute yourself if you want to make an objection. No? Okay, so then the minutes are passed and adopted for the October minutes meeting. So now I'm going to hand it back to you, Kim.
All right, Michelle is now going to present the treasurer's report. Hi, Michelle.
Everyone. Hi. So this month is actually, we don't have much going on. I mean, we have the fundraising going on, but that money will coming in probably in the next cycle. So as of, the end of October 31st, we only have one expense, which is the water supply for the main office. So I need to make the screen larger to see it. So And then, so that actually, the amount of that, it is $11.97. And then that would bring us the balance to, the balance to 59,466.35. Yeah, so Kim, I will bring it back to you.
Okay. I just wanted to say a couple of things, and for any of you that have just recently joined, Vito was here at the very beginning. He is balancing between 3 different meetings. He is attending the CEC as well as a meeting hosted by Matilda Frontis concerning the SHSAT. So if he has any information from that meeting, he will certainly send an email and give that information to all of the parents at 187. Please let us know. Vito sent out an email recently asking for donations, which normally if we were back in school, which we can't wait for that day to happen, you'd be receiving your child would have received a green envelope asking for a membership donation. And as you all know, you're all members of the PTO, but to keep things going, we do request donations, and we ask for $187. And we realize in these times that that's not something that everybody can do. And we totally understand that. But if you can donate $5, $10, $20, whatever you are comfortable, your family is comfortable, that money helps us help Krista McAuliffe. And we've already, after his email, and we've partnered with Cheddar Up to accept the donations, and we've already received $4,000. So to all the families that have already sent us money, we thank you from the bottom of our heart, because we know how difficult with these times, how hard it is to do that. Having said that, last year, pre-COVID, our membership donations exceeded 40,000. So we've got a long way to go. So we're going to keep asking you, and I apologize for that, but that's my job, is to ask for money. And again, it's money that we're going to spend on your kids. So it's money well spent. So thank you again for sending in money. If you haven't received those emails, don't worry. Vito is going to continue to send those emails as reminders to ask you for money. So if you've already donated, we understand that. Disregard, but for families that haven't, or families that haven't received that email, it will be coming again. If you have any questions about the donations, please feel free to email Vito. And I'm going to ask, before we hand it over to Mr. Berman, I'm going to ask Madeline, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Madeline is our new vice president this year, and we're so happy to have her.
Thank you, Kim. I have nothing to add, but I also agree with you that membership is key for us this year. So any amount will definitely help us.
Great. All right, then I'm going to hand this over to Mr. Berman, and he can give us his informative updates. I don't know if you have any new information, but I'm sure you will. Mr. Berman, we've got you muted. Let's make sure you're unmuted.
Yep, I got you. Thank you very, very much. And thanks, everybody. I hope you're having a great day and a great evening. Thanks for coming to our PTA meeting and being involved and engaged. And we're really grateful for that. I don't really have a lot of updates. I can share some things with you that I guess are somewhat exciting, that we're waiting for, that and some things that are coming up, which you're probably quite familiar with. I'm thinking first, I know we're waiting with bated breath to find out who our new superintendent will be. I know the interview process sort of took place last week, and we're waiting to see what the leadership of District 20 will look like. I think this is a pivotal moment in District 20. And I think what happens as far as the selection of leadership will have a lasting impact on the district in significant ways. in significant ways. So we're waiting to hear about that, and that's kind of exciting. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up this week, and I know there's a 6th grade meeting with Mrs. Siddiqui tomorrow night, and I think there are well over 100 parents who are signed up for that meeting, which is great, and she'll be sharing some important insights about what we've been learning about remote instruction and what we've been observing, and feedback from children and feedback from teachers will be shared. And really, I know one of her main goals is to really talk with parents about how to make the remote instruction even better than it is. I mean, we can always improve, and we need to work on improving that. And there are things that we're seeing that she'll talk about that we'd really like some parents help with. I know we're probably preaching to the choir here again, but not all parents are as engaged as you are. And I'm glad that many of them are going to come to the meeting tomorrow night, and hopefully we can give them some encouragement on how to perhaps be a little more engaged with the work that the children are doing to really help them. It's a different world. It's a different kind of learning. It's a different experience, and as you know, and we want to make it better, of course, as we always do. So parent-teacher conferences is a great time to get some feedback. Of course, it's going to be short and brief. Longer feedback, of course, is much better obtained during the teacher's office hours, just scheduling appointments at other times and things like that. But doing it the way we're doing it this year, freeing up the morning for additional time, doing some asynchronous learning with the children. Mrs. Ward, one of our social studies teachers, has done a lot of work with social emotional learning, and she's planning what we're calling a day of gratitude, of different activities that we're going to ask the children to participate in, that hopefully our parents will join in with them for some of those activities. And so those will take place on Thursday. There have been a lot of interesting things going on at the school. Mark Cuban actually met with about 10 of our students last Friday afternoon, and Mr. Chechi and a former student, and they had quite an interesting session, question and answer, and it was quite an experience that I don't think the children will really ever forget. And we'll be publishing that and putting that up on our website for folks to see and enjoy. So it's a wonderful program that Mr. Chechi has to develop leaders, and certainly they made a wonderful connection with Mark Cuban. What else can I update you with? As we talked about a little bit before, our budget is in a really good place this year. We still have about $475,000 that we're working on. One of the things that we'd like to do is to reopen our assistant principal application process that was halted by COVID-19 very abruptly last year in the springtime. We were about to go through the C30 process for an assistant principal, and schools closed down, and the whole process came to a stop. Now and moving forward within the next few months may be a very good time to reopen and re-explore that opportunity for our school moving forward, particularly being able to afford it the way we can, certainly at the moment and moving forward. What else? Those are pretty much the updates that that I wanted to share with you. I'm happy to. There's something I think I'm missing, but just checking over my notes, I think I got everything that I wanted to cover. Maybe it'll come to me. But if there's anything that our folks here would like to discuss, or if got any questions about anything, I'm happy to try and answer them.
Anybody have any questions at all? We're going to have a quick meeting tonight, it looks like. Without Vito, we get through this meeting rather quickly. I think, Mr. Berman, this just must mean that everybody is happy with the education that their kids are getting.
Well, I mean, I know our teachers are working.
In this time, yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always a caveat during these times that, you know, it's not what anybody expected or intended. I know it's dragging on all of us. I know the whole idea of, you know, the looming of schools opening, schools closing. I know that, you know, most of our population is remote anyway, but still, for that 20% who just don't know, I can imagine how stressful it is just going day to day. Is school open? Is school not open? Just I'm proud of our students. I'm proud of the work that they're doing. I know it's hard for them. You know, if you can imagine, you know, children are not very different from adults in many, many ways. Of course, they're different in a lot of ways, but, you know, when they're in a classroom, it's just like this meeting. And when a teacher says, okay, does anybody have any questions? Nobody says anything, not always. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's like, well, I'm not going to say anything. Nobody else is saying anything. So why should I say anything? And it's like, and our teachers are working to sort of break through that barrier, right? And some of them are really good at it, and others are learning to be really good at it, right? But it's very much like a Zoom meeting that maybe you've experienced, where there isn't an awful lot of give and take, you know, and our teachers thrive on that. Our school is not a lecture-based school, you know.
No, and I do spy on my children, and I do see the teachers, and the teachers work very hard, and I do see them pulling responses from the kids and getting the kids in there, which is fantastic. And we do have a question, and the question is, what is the last day of the marking period?
Oh, that's a great question. The last day of the marking period. You know, it's escaping me for the moment.
November 30th.
All right, Carla.
Thank you, Carla.
Great, November 30th. Good. My daughter has time to make up her missing assignments. Very good.
Yeah. I mean, you know, our teachers want to see the best from our kids, and we want to encourage them. We know that this is really hard for a lot of kids. Some kids are crushing it. I mean, I know, you know, and they're just flying through it, and others are struggling. So it's, you know, our job to make sure everybody's getting the support that they need. to be successful, whatever that takes. And
Mr. Berman, you mentioned the teacher's office hours for parents that don't get to the parent-teacher conference. When are the teacher's office hours where we could contact them?
every day from 2 to 2:20.
Great.
Every single day. And you can always email them and just sort of say, hey, I'd love to talk with you. Are your office hours today a great time, or is there another time that you'd like to connect? And, you know, if 2 to 2:20 is not good for you, just let them know. You know, I do prefer them to make their contacts and deal with folks, you know, during the school day. It is always optimal. But you know, if it's really required to connect after hours, you know, I'm sure they'll do that too.
That's
Whatever.
great. I didn't realize we had that every day. That's great, because I'm one of those parents that didn't sign up for parent-teacher conference. So that's great to know.
Every day from 2 to 2:20. And perhaps I should, I'll email that out again. I'll get that information out there, because if you all don't know that, then probably most parents don't know that. So we'll get that out there.
We have another question. If a teacher is not responding to an email, what is the next way to make contact?
Well, if a teacher doesn't respond to the email, then that would be a good time to perhaps contact that assistant principal, your grade level assistant principal, and sort of say, hey, you know, if you feel more comfortable contacting someone like Mrs. Palumbo, our parent coordinator, and say, hey, I'm having a hard time getting in touch with the teacher, Mrs. Palumbo can help sort of make that connection. We'll have to sort of figure out why that connection, you know, isn't getting made, but those are two avenues that I would take.
So for 6th grade, that would be Miss Siddiqui.
Correct. 6th
And
grade would
seventh-
be Miss Siddiqui. 7th grade would be Mrs. Forsyth. 8th grade, Mrs. McGar.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions?
I'll also say Mrs. Forsyth deals with most of the special ed concerns across the grades, but again, really, it's you. Honestly, you should contact who you feel comfortable contacting. You know, we're not really particular about, you know, about that part. We just want to really get you the information that you need and solve whatever problem it is.
Mhm. I just want to mention that for if there are any 8th grade parents in the group tonight, an email was sent out about pickup of the high school directory this Friday. I think there were times that were given out in the email. The guidance counselor did send that message out, but the dates there can be ignored because those books were published before the pandemic. So none of those deadlines apply. The December 4th deadline for the high school application, the sign up deadline for the SHSAT, none of those deadlines apply, but the books are available for pickup this Friday.
And I'll say, I don't think there's anything in the books that's not online.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
you don't need to rush to go and get them. Yeah.
No.
Unless you really want to.
Yeah.
We
But,
have, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Berman, at this point, how much of the school is remote, and has there been much interest amongst families in returning to blended learning?
Good question. We still hover right around 78%, give or take a couple of percentage points of remote, students who are remote. Since the window opened to return, that window's now closed, but since that window was open, we had about 10 students go to blended learning from remote. And we had plenty of room to place them in classes. We didn't cause any issues or concerns or problems, and we just came back.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll say, and I'll tell you, there's anybody that wants to still come back, we can have them come back. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. I know the city's making a big deal about, you know, it's your only chance. If you want to come back, you come back. It's fine. Whatever works for you. We're here to serve you, not the other way around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lisa?
Hi, thank you. Can I ask a question just out of curiosity? Is it the remote and the blended curriculums, are they mirroring, or they're the same? Or is the blended, because they can be in person, are they doing projects, or how is that working?
They're going to be different. They're going to operate at a different pace. It's going to be different. They're two different kinds of experiences. So yeah, there's no way that they can mirror each other. It's very hard to mirror anything. I mean, I remember when I was a teacher, you know, you tried to keep everything consistent, you know, and I had my classes, right? So I had, let's say, 5 classes, right? Even if they were all the same grade, which they never were, but let's just say they were, you know, you have a fire drill that there goes your mirroring, and now you're off, and, you know, it just, things happen, and, you know, let alone from being in person and being remote, it's just very, very different. So yeah, it's not going to be the same. And I know that, you know, the blended learning has those other periods, you know, where they're getting more asynchronous learning in the blended model. You know, the most live instruction occurs in the remote model. That's, you know, that's the way our school is set up. And I mean, it's what most of the parents wanted, clearly, by the number of people who are home. So, you know, we had nothing to do with that part. That was all you guys.
Mr. Berman, we have a question about, do we have an after-school program?
We have a virtual after-school program. In-person after-school programs are very, very difficult right now. I know that we wanted to even just have a distribution of school supplies in our schoolyard. They won't even grant a permit for that because it requires all kinds of extra things that have to be paid for. And I don't know if our after-school partners are going to want to pay for those extra things. It's extra security, it's extra cleaning, it's extra custodial staff for cleaning. And the permits go through now a much more thorough vetting process. And they're generally, the email I got today was basically they're generally not being approved for in-person, which again, we didn't have anyway. It would have been nice to have, I know there was a giveaway, not a giveaway, but a distribution yesterday. It would be nice to have another one, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that in the manner that our NIA partners wanted to do. So, yeah.
Any other questions? I will say, my daughter tried out the drama program. Mr. Kaplan is running. They're going to do a virtual play, and the kids are very excited about that. And we're so grateful that he's been able to make that happen.
If in the same vein of the arts, I don't know if you've seen those little panda steel drums. I don't know, it popped up on I don't know, one of the pages I was looking at, and they're really neat. They're for like meditation and yoga, and I shared it with our music teachers, and Mrs. Varghese actually thought they were really cool. And I just ordered a whole set of them for her. So we've got 12 steel drums coming. So we're going to have beautiful new age yoga sounds and stuff.
That's great.
It's pretty neat. And by the way, if you come across things like that, let me know. Send them to me, and I'll share them with our teachers. And if they like it and they want it, you know, we'll get it for them. We'll try it out. I mean, big deal. If you know, steel drums, the kids will have a great time.
They will,
and
that's
they'll learn.
great.
They'll learn music. I mean, she's a music teacher, right? So that's what they should be doing, and it'll be fun. So if you see things like that, you know, send them on over. I'll send them out to the teachers. And it's always great when I love it when teachers say, can we get this? Because it's very hard to motivate people to do things. Very, very hard. So when people come to me and they say, I want to do this, I'd be a fool to say no, unless it was something really, you know, crazy that they wanted to do. But yeah, sure, let's try it. If it's great for kids, let's give it a shot. So if you see things like that, let me know and I'll share it with them. Some of the fun things we do. What else? I guess, you know, I'm worried about, you know, what our school is going to look like in the future without a screen. I'm happy we're a community school and we'll continue to educate kids in the same way we always do. And ultimately, and I've always said this, whatever happens will be a result of what the most vocal parents in the district want. I believe that. I do believe that. And maybe that's a good thing. That's how communities perhaps should operate. But it behooves everyone to make their voices heard. And if there are people who are just going to sit by and not make their voices heard, you know, get ready for a lot of complaining. And nobody really cares about complaining. It doesn't get anybody anywhere, really. You know, it's better not to complain. It's better to do something about it beforehand.
Mr. Berman, you are absolutely right. My third child is at Krista McAuliffe, and I can't imagine any changes that would make the school any better. So parents that love Krista McAuliffe as it is do need to make their voices heard now.
Yeah. Yeah, now is the time. Now is the time.
We have another question about student pictures, and Mr. Berman can fill you in, but that is something we are trying very hard to work on to make it happen, especially for the 8th graders. But I'll let Mr. Berman elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, we want everybody to be safe. That's key. And we also want parents who want to have 8th grade pictures of their children have 8th grade pictures. So what we are working on is with the photographer to have basically a photo studio set up for our parents, probably on a Saturday, someplace local, maybe I suggested to our photographer using one of our local catering halls, perhaps Rex Manor or Gennaro's or Sirico's, one of the areas locally, and parents can set up appointments and go and have their children's pictures taken with cap and gown and so forth. The only thing we won't have, for obvious reasons, are the class photos, but we wouldn't have those anyway. And there wouldn't be any extra expense or anything like that. And it would just be, you know, a way for parents to sort of do that. And that's what we're working on right now. And the photographer was very amenable to doing that. So I'm waiting to hear back from him for that.
It'll just take a little bit of time. My eldest did that for his senior picture at Brooklyn Tech, and they sent you to a studio. They assigned you a time. It works very well. You'll have the social distancing, and we'll still have the pictures for the yearbook.
Mhm.
It just may be a little bit later this year than previous years, but we want the kids to have a senior year.
For sure, for sure. And the turnaround time of the pictures is not great.
Digitally, yes, we're very fortunate that it can be done so quickly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And even the packages, and they'll mail them to you. You know, the photographers are very, very interested in working with us and getting us whatever we need, however we want to do it.
And they've been very good over the years, Class Act with us. So we will make it happen. It's just when, and we'll make sure you all know and have plenty of information, you know, well in advance.
Yeah, it's a fine company. It's a small family business, but good people. They take care of us.
Any other questions?
Anything in the chat?
No, I'm looking. No, I think we're good.
Oh,
We are good. All right. Well, if we have no other questions, then I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And as I said, if we have any information, Vito is at a meeting concerning the SHSAT currently. And if any updates that we have, we will make sure to send them to you. And please don't forget, you know, look for the emails. And if you're able to make a donation to the PTO, we thank you.
thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.